All right, so let's start with the pledge.
Go for it.
Are we recording?
Yep.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag. Public. Cool, so we'll start with roll call. Paul Leogrand, Vice Chair.
David Ruth.
Dana Collins.
Ed Moore.
Ken Reader.
Carrie Runyon, Parks and Recreation, and we have one missing, Tamara, and we have the chairman, Carlo, resigned. So you guys are going to have to make some decisions tonight.
All right, do we have any public comments? Anyone online? No, no one online.
Nobody online.
All right, cool. Hey, it's the new year. I guess people are still, it's cold, that's for sure. Maybe that's keeping people home. But let's talk about the approval of the minutes from September and October.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the November 12th, 2024 meeting notes.
Yeah. All in favor? Aye. So that's the November 12th.
Who?
Dave
Ruth.
made a motion to approve.
Okay.
Ed seconded. Yep. Okay, financial report.
Can we just talk about it?
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't here last time, so I wasn't exactly sure what you guys talked about. But this financial report was totally different than anything we've had last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and got the October 23rd to January 24th, and then the entire year of 2024 budget. And on that, there was a list of about, let's say 15 things. And like Victory Gardens,
Right.
bocce ball park upgrades. Did you guys talk about this last time?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, I want to see basically all of those things that we talked about before, and we had monies, stipulated for those. I don't know where it went. Okay, but it was, a couple months ago, we talked about getting back into this and getting the items that we wanted back, at least to be talked about by the
Right.
CDD people, and get those back into place. And I didn't know how they kind of worked into this new budget that we're seeing. But to me, that doesn't
Right.
correlate to what we're doing here.
So, from what I understand, is that we lost the opportunity because we didn't present it in time to be passed for 2025, if I recall.
That's correct. So you're talking about
All those things.
operational expenses.
Right.
So when operational expenses, they kind of expire on September 30th.
Okay, well, that was a major mistake.
Yes.
How much money was allocated for that?
We can go through each one. Let's do this. If that's the case, then let's go back to 2026 budget coming up whenever, next
Well-
year, and put those stuff back in.
Right, and I think what we need to discuss and work towards as far as timeline here goes is that it's clear to me now, and maybe it wasn't last year, which was the problem, but it's clear to me, we have a timeline, and that timeline ends in September, right? It's the first
Right,
week in
so-
September.
24-25 year, and
Right.
September 30th.
Right,
And they start the budget process usually around March, April, and May. And my suggestion is your February meeting, if you have anything that you want to add in for any type of capital improvement, but capital improvement continues. That doesn't go away.
That's what I was
Right.
gonna say, some of these like splash pad and other things have capital next to it, so that doesn't expire at September 30th.
right. That does not, right?
No. That does not expire.
That's continuation.
Yes.
That rolls over.
It's the operational part
Okay. Well,
that does not roll over. So if there's things that you want to
Yeah.
put,
yeah,
if you have goals that you want to
But they're not
set
on there.
for
They're not
next
on there.
fiscal year,
that's-
Hang on,
Yeah,
hang on.
yeah.
One,
if there are goals that you need to set for next fiscal year for capital, or some things you would like to see on there, or any regular operational improvements, that needs to be discussed and put on a list and presented to well, it's presented to me and then I pass it on to Chelsea.
Well, there's the list that we have, and all the way to basketball goal and the dog park shade structure and all of the things that we already had there. I put dots behind the ones that, like she said, are still on the capital budget.
but everything else has been wiped away.
Everything else, we need to somehow correlate this list in with this new thing that we're looking at up on the wall.
Well, mechanically, what would trigger or should trigger a reminder to get these things put in? It sounds like something didn't happen.
Well, and that's a good question, because I know for the soundstage specifically, we did have a vote on that, to have that included. And we were told that it was put in phase 2,
Right,
but that it was in the budget.
right.
I mean, that's what we were told.
But we lost it
And how did we lose that?
because we didn't push that forward. So I think what we need to do,
Forgetting what may have, what
Right.
we do going
Right.
forward. to correct
Well, I just want to make
Exactly.
sure
No.
we don't,
That was
do
my
whatever
point.
that
What-
was
what
again,
should have
yes.
happened,
So-
let's fix it.
I think, and this is just my opinion, is that we need to retarget those items that are most important on that list. Number one, I think we were dealing with something that was way too big for us, right? Because let's face it, we didn't accomplish a lot in 2024.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean, not a
Yeah,
lot.
from June until
Right.
now,
We talked about
we,
it a lot.
we accomplished these 2 people,
Right.
or
Exactly.
3 people when she shows up.
So I think what we need to do is take a look at the list that Dave has. I don't know if there might be a motion here, Carrie, but take a look at the list that Dave has of the expired items. Reduce that down. We do this in February. We reduce that down to our core components of what we absolutely need, right? These are the 3 things, let's say. Let's make it happen. Present that to the board and keep on driving that. And that's what our meetings are focused on until we
Right.
get it,
right?
right? That way we don't have a slip in the fund.
Because right now, there's, again, we've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm for,
Right,
Yeah.
doing this
Yeah.
at the Commons Park.
sure.
I'm for changing the name of the fun park to whatever, and the plan that we drew up.
Right.
Start to get bids on that and find out what that's gonna cost, and put that into our next
So
budget.
I can tell you that they kind of dig into a 5-year capital improvement plan.
Mhm.
Okay, so what you probably need to do is, if you're looking at the fun park, if there's some things that you would like to add in, like if there's a basketball court there, maybe resurface it. Maybe change, put another goal up. Maybe, I noticed the playground is something that you might want to look into, because I could tell you that there are parts that I'm going to have to be taking off pretty soon. So we're gonna, yeah, because it's cracking and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's had a good life,
Right.
So,
It's great because it's old and it's like a little unsafe, so it's a challenge.
I agree. It's- yeah.
That's why she's sitting by me. They're great. Old, a little
So-
unsafe, and a little-
so my suggestion is that, there are a lot of things that they go at the end of the year, a lot of your playground companies, and there's something that maybe we could get that's not as crazy expensive to replace just that one structure. And the swings,
Right.
you stay there. Okay, the swings stay, just to replace that. Maybe redo around the sand, the border, the volleyball. I just put up a new net. That's not too bad. So just, there's some things that you might want to plan.
Yeah.
And you could, instead of just separating it all, put fun park amenities.
Right.
And then kind of get a number that you would like to set in there for the next year capital. So I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there.
Maybe that should
Operate,
be on our agenda for next time, so we
Yes.
talk about it, and we get our top 3
Right.
So I'd like to make a motion to take that list that Dave Ruth has, right? Minus out the things that are still carried over, of course, and update it with the things that have fallen off.
I second that.
Like the basketball, yeah, it's kind of sad that there's only one, we need another one. It's like to play there.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Great.
Would it help if I took this and typed up what we want
Yeah,
for next
sure.
time?
And send it
Then
to
we'll,
Karen.
then we'll put a priority to each item,
Yeah, exactly.
and we'll add in the, you know, the band
Yeah.
pavilion and the fun park and some of the things. There's, you know, I'll be presenting or showing, so you guys both are new, so you'll get to see kind of what we've been talking about since June.
It'll be a good recap, yeah.
But I'll recap that at the end after we talk about the band show. And then I'll add, there's 13 different steps to that fun part.
Awesome.
So I'll do that for February.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Any other comments on the expense report, the financial report? No? All right, cool. Let's move on. The next-
Wait a minute, I do have a
Sure.
comment, because I'm still, what are our linear park improvements?
So linear park improvements, and that's a difficult. So you underneath the power lines,
Yeah, that's the.
that's linear park. In the commons, when they do build and start that construction, there's going to be an attachment walkway to the linear park. So you can make your walk, you could park there at the commons, make your walk through, and then go hit linear park, and go up and down linear park for a nice walk and exercise. They want to try to build on that. Now, there's some limitations of what you can do under power line. Okay, you
Well, the
can't.
park isn't ours, is it? Isn't it FPL's space? The
It's an
is
easement
ours.
that the land belongs to, it's hard to explain. The land belongs to Gateway, which is unincorporated Lee County.
Yeah.
But we are able to, we do the park improvements. We put the pathway there.
Okay.
We do any improvements along that pathway, and we're allowed to do that. But we got to be careful what we put under there.
Mhm.
Like, you can't put baskets for disc golf because of the electricity, okay? But you could probably put like your recycled type bench there with no metal. So if somebody wanted to taking a walk and they wanted to take a sit for a few minutes and then get up and do it again, that's could be an improvement. When we have to look at other things that we could do under there. So if anybody has any ideas, please let me know.
Any sort of like maybe shade structure along the way. Like we love to ride bikes and run, but like in the summertime, it's very hot. So any sort of like intermediate shade structure might be a non-expensive improvement just to help people along the way.
Mhm.
Idea.
And that goes right along, we talked about having like little stretching stations and those types of,
I was gonna ask about that, if that could be a thing, like an improvement that we did, how, like at Lakes Park, for instance, every so many feet, they have the, like the little exercise stations with the instructions. That's really nice.
I think you just got to be careful what you make it out of.
right,
Yeah.
it's gotta be wood.
Yeah, it's got to be wood.
Everywhere. So, yeah, and we also, like, it also depends, I'm sure, the egress needs to be allowed by FPL, right? So we also have to clear it with them, with whatever we put on there. So I'm sure it's like any other easement. We own it, but we have to give them access. And if we restrict access with something we put up, then we're in hot water. So it's a little more complicated than just taking one of our parks and being like, oh, let's put a playground up, right? But I think we could visit it for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else, folks, on the financial report? Okay. Awesome. So, go ahead.
Okay, so Carrie Runyon Parks. So with Carlo resigning, Paul is now currently the vice chair. So he's running the meetings until you guys make a decision tonight. We need to select a chair and a vice chair tonight to move forward. And I know we did vice chair in December, right? November. November,
This November meeting.
starting, yes.
Yeah.
Because we had somebody leave. So if you want to bring in the discussion, you guys can discuss one at a time, how you want to go about selecting a vice chair and a chair, or if you want to leave Paul as a vice chair and select somebody else as a chair, or you have some decisions to make. Okay? If you want somebody to move up as from vice chair to chair, you could do that and then select a vice chair. Okay? But we need to make those decisions.
Let's,
How long?
1 month.
This is my 1 month. I've been,
So you're the most senior person.
well, I mean, I've been, so just a little bit about my background. Let's all talk about this, right? But I'm the president of the local, my local HOA. So I've been doing that now for almost a year or 6. So I have a little bit of experience. I will serve and do whatever needs to be done, right? So if somebody wants to come up and step up to be chair and they think that that's, I will support that. If you'd like me to step up to be chair and somebody be vice chair, I will support that. I don't want that to be an awkward thing as we are all sitting here talking, right? So whatever needs to, my whole thing with this is we have an opportunity to kind of reset, and we have some funds to use to make this place more beautiful, right?
would anybody like to be vice president?
Vice chair.
Vice chair, I'm sorry.
So we have,
So we don't have anybody that wants to do that. So
Right.
at this point, we don't want to do it.
I'm not going to have the time to do it. I mean, if, well, I say not going to have the time, depends on how time consuming this gets.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have a problem doing it.
I mean,
knowing-
yeah.
my suggestion is no, you wouldn't have a problem doing it. I understand that. And it's something that if you get overwhelmed or it's too much, then you pull back.
What does, other than running a meeting, what does the chair do? And what would the vice chair do? I don't expect to see a job description, but can these meetings be run themselves in the absence of a chair? What else
Well-
does the chair or vice chair do that might necessitate somebody filling that spot?
That's a good point, right? And I feel not with any ill will, right? But I feel like the chair and vice chair should be doing a little more as far as maintaining what's happening in between the meetings and following up on certain things. And maybe that hasn't been the case. So I think there's a little more effort that's required. And we failed that in the past, going back to that list, right? Those things just fell off.
Right.
And then we show up at a meeting, it's like, oh, sorry, that's done now. So I think it's a failure on all of our parts, but I think as any leadership position, it's about moving the needle forward, right? And does it require a little more time than this? I'd say so. I think I would be more in touch with Karen, what's going on, and doing some outreach than has previously happened. The vice chair, the same situation.
I want to make a motion. This is Dave Ruth. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Paul Leogrand as the new chairperson and Ed Moore to be the vice chair for the PrAC committee for the next 2 years.
Okay, the motion second?
Is there a second on this?
Well,
Yeah.
do either of you want the position? I mean, is it something that you say, no, you don't want, you move on? I mean, you're being nominated. Is that something that would normally happen in a forum like this?
Of course, you could always say no.
Do you have to have a vice chair?
Yes.
Yes.
have to have a chair, but because if the chair is unable to attend, or in the scenario where they leave, you need a vice chair.
So it's more than just these meetings running themselves in the application.
I like to think so. I like to think it is, like, you know, there's a little more.
So let me just throw this out there, it's Carrie again. The vice chair and the chair, for example, they would be sending in some topics that should be discussed at the next meeting. I shouldn't have to come up with the topics, all the topics. I think that,
It's our meeting.
yeah, it's your
Right.
meeting. You need to come up with and ask questions, and you can ask me, like, I know Dana, you asked Georgia for some information on the survey. Same thing. You guys say, hey, we need to discuss this at the next meeting. You give me a list of 3 or 4 things. If there's something, and I'll say, I could talk to you guys individually, but I can't talk to you as a group.
Right.
So if you have a question, you can always call me or email me, or
Which I do.
you do anyway. But I'm just saying is that's part of what we were
Yeah,
missing,
right.
I believe.
Well, I would
I also-
second the motion based on.
Okay, so there's a second. Let's have a little more discussion first. I think also, one thing that I would do if I were chair is make it a point, now I work during the day, right? And I carve out time to be here, of course. I'm gonna try and make it a point to go to the regular meetings, the more the board needs to, because I think the chair at least should attend those meetings. So I'm definitely gonna make it a point to do that, if I were to.
Even if it's virtual.
Even if it's virtual at the minimum. So there's a second.
Right now, I'm the only one going. I go,
I know,
I
and
go to all
I know you
meetings.
go faithfully, right? Absolutely.
And sometimes you feel like it's a waste of time, but you do learn things about how the committee works and, you know, things that can fall through the cracks if we're not careful.
Well, it's good to have an ear to the ground and hear what's going on.
Do what?
It's good to have an ear to the ground and hear and see.
It is,
Sometimes.
it is.
I mean, it's, right.
Sometimes you want to cry.
If you can tolerate what you're hearing and
No,
seeing.
it's always good to do.
Let's be honest, it's a frustrating, you know, for me, last year was frustrating, where not much got done from us. Like, I think the
Right.
general consensus is that we weren't listened to. And whether that's accurate or not, you know, I can't say without, I didn't go to the meetings, right? So I can't complain too much about it. Right? But I think we have the opportunity to change that, and I think we could play a vital part, right? So.
We
So-
can be a vital part if we all work together, and we didn't have that on this committee.
We did it.
Right.
We had
did not.
people
We had a
arguing
lot
with
of-
each other and speaking over other people,
Right.
and everybody just, it was like Republicans and Democrats. We just washed each other out, and nothing happened. So we're really glad you're here, both of you. Yes, and these guys are great, just from another person's point of view. He's been here the longest.
Yes.
I've been here the second longest.
Yeah, I'm the dude.
And then I found Paul at the pool, and he came over and joined us,
The-
and you guys are really well.
Yeah.
You know,
So we have a
don't
motion on
all
the
have
floor.
to agree on everything, but we can
No,
at least, we can at
Discuss it,
least
yeah.
discuss it.
Absolutely. All right,
Go ahead, Karen.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Dave went ahead and did a motion to appoint Paul as chair and Ed as vice chair. And Ken second that. So,
All in favor? Aye. Go.
Life is,
Life is good. Cool. What is next? Band shell. So here's the fun stuff.
band show.
I've been looking forward to this for weeks.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in here because
Yeah,
I
it's all-
pulled
it's
all
your
these
show, yeah.
pictures. This is Ed. I pulled just a smattering of different styles, and there's some here that can be done for next to nothing, and some that cost a pretty penny, I'm sure. I think what we need to do as a committee, and it goes right back to piggybacking with what you just said, Paul, is start focusing in on something that we really like and get quotes and costs and things to get this back on the agenda.
Can I just ask one question before we go any further? This was based, what, on the survey that went out? I see, the comments I've seen and heard is that the public wants was based on the survey that went out?
Partially based on the survey and also partially based on a town hall meeting that we had. It kept coming up over and over and over again.
That
People want it, yes.
I want to play devil's advocate just to have another opinion out there.
Mhm.
People that I've spoken to, whatever number it is, people have some concerns about it. Number one, obviously, cost. Do we need it? When is this going to be operational at night during the day? And what traffic to the roads on Gateway Boulevard, which we know right now is horrendous as it is in the surrounding areas. And is it going to bring in people from all over so that suddenly this is more like, you know, JetBlue Park where you have.
No.
Not that big.
No, this is a really small kind of, like, you'll look, like, this is a stage, first of all, it would go over by the pool, right, against the water line, so it's relatively small. It's a community amphitheater, which means it's our people from the outside aren't coming in.
Who's going to monitor? Who would monitor attendance?
Well, there's a gate, there's a gate on the road, but I mean, the park as it is right now, but it's a big discussion to have, right? Because we also spoke about encasing the entire complex over there in fence, right? Where it's not accessible after hours. But what we're talking about is this would actually be set behind the current fence that's even there. So, you know, as far as timing goes, would there be events being held there? I don't think that's the real main focus, like having big events. I think it's a community area where you could go and kids can yes, put on, like theater kids could put on little productions if they want, or small bands. We have to talk about approval processes to get them in there. And
With this,
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
thinking, and I'm saying, does the community know what might be involved at all?
No, I don't think they do.
Not yet.
We've talked about having music there during the Taste of Gateway, for example, right? As an add-on, because it's not going to be big enough to have a big band there,
Right.
right? I mean, it's not going to be a, like,
3-4 person, maybe like a
blues
3-person
fest. It's not
band.
going to be that.
We have
Um,
music a stage for band show. I'm sorry, I
No, no,
have
no.
more to say. When you're-
Conversation, no. jump in.
I think that you can rent a stage if that's what we want it for a Taste of Gateway type thing. I asked Carrie and Georgia for the results of the survey today because when I was reviewing the agenda, it sounded like we had a tremendous outpouring from the residents of Gateway for this band shell. And I hadn't really heard anything about that, and just discussions in my own neighborhood about the survey and what we'd like to see. No one that I've spoke to wanted a band shell. That's why I wanted to get data to support this. And band shell is actually at the very lowest on that survey. It was trails, sports, playgrounds, others that we specified later, pool, picnic areas, and then band shell by a wide margin. So that concerns that we put funds into something that maybe everyone does not want.
Or see the importance of it
Yes.
now. Some people might want it, but in the overall scheme of things, is it the most important thing we should be focusing on? I don't know. And again, we're the new kids in the block, but from what I've heard, and I only became aware of the survey and the results when I saw the agenda too, and I meant to get a copy of that too. But is there really the outpouring of interest that we need to not let it fall off the burner,
Well, I think it's unique in the way that we're calling it band shell, right? But I think it's unique in the way of a gathering space. So back in New Jersey, right, I was on the Rotary and had a similar discussion about putting up a pavilion at a central park area called Gardner Field. It was a really big complex kind of situation. And people wanted the pavilion, people didn't want the pavilion, of course, just like anything else, right? But pavilion ended up being this kind of really nice centralized gathering space for certain things. It wasn't only for music, right? But it was for the arts, and it was just a designated area in the community to go for anything like that. It was also a designated area for people to go and just had an overhang, right? So people could like have a lunch there. They had some picnic. So things like that. So is there a designated reason for this? I mean, for an event? I don't think so. I don't know, right? But I think we need to ask, like, is there a need in the community for a gathering space, right? Like a little bit of a stage if somebody did want to get up and give some type of, you know, I don't know.
Words or whatever.
Right.
I envision the high school orchestra ensemble coming and playing on Sunday afternoon. I see bringing in the school system and the kids because we're community.
Me personally, I would be fine with something like that, but what could this possibly grow into? You know, suddenly, are we having bands at night?
No.
Are we doing
And I
that?
think we have the ability, listen, it's ours, right? So, and that's like, we have the ability to set those parameters.
Exactly.
And to say what this is and what this is not.
Right.
And it's not a rock band kind of, you know, you're getting paid
Yeah.
to do a gig on Friday night. No.
I would be more worried that it didn't get used at all.
Well, I agree with you. I happen to think that way too, right? Like, okay, we're gonna
It's a
spend,
great idea having the high school orchestra, and I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like negative, but yes, it would be great if the Gateway High School Orchestra would come, but I have a son in high school, and I just think getting those children to come on a Sunday afternoon to play would be next to impossible.
right.
Like, it would be great, but in.
But where do
in
they go,
theory-
where do they go now? Where are they playing, where is their Sunday afternoon gathering for their wind ensemble or for their jazz ensemble?
In the Black Box Theater at Gateway High School.
It's easy for them to get, right, exactly, so it's right there, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is allowing, because something that I think is unique with this is it doesn't exist yet. So it's allowing a space for our, in this example, our younger community to participate in a way that they're comfortable with, right? That we can monitor and control to a certain extent, but also allows the members, it's kind of like a mingling place, right? Now the high school place, those community members feel like they're involved, and the older owners and people that own in the community can come and watch, right? It's just about bringing people together in a different way. So I agree with all of that, right? It doesn't exist, and is it going to be costly to do, and is it going to be used? Can't answer any of those until it's there, and we say in a year afterwards, oh, that wasn't really the best, right? Or it's really successful, and it ends up being a really key community.
So this is Carrie again from Parks. So I know if you went to Winterfest, this past Winterfest, you know that I think it was Gateway Charter, the instructor for Gateway Charter got up and said that there's not a lot of opportunities for youth to practice on stages and stuff like that. And so even in the dance studio, we have a lot of dance studios in Gateway.
We have several dance
Yeah, so this would also give them an opportunity, and they would have to, it'd be somewhere they would have to, obviously get in touch with Parks, and it would be something that they would have to rent, they would have to be there to rent it. If it was a Sunday, Saturday afternoon, Friday evening or something, but they would give them another opportunity to participate and practice some of these things that they never get to do because they're always stuck in the dance studio, they're always stuck in the high school. So I was trying to throw that out. Also, what also does is a lot of people that are retired in this community, sometimes on the Saturday afternoon, and even young families, it gives them the opportunity to come out. If you have some type of light music from a band, I'm sure there's band members in this community that would love to play. It would give them an opportunity to come out. You bring in your chairs, you listen. I bring in a couple food trucks, and there you have a day of it, and it's something simple for the community and not loud and crazy. And so I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there for you to really think.
I wouldn't mind doing like you said, it's obviously not cool weather, so you're not going to go into.
Exactly.
So something like
Exactly.
that might make sense.
Exactly.
But again, I would agree, how much use are we gonna get out of it? And also too, would we be deriving income from giving out to schools and all that?
I don't think that's the goal. I don't think the goal is as a financial producing at any type.
I just think it should, but
Yeah. I think it's more of a community gathering area, right? Because people, we love the pool, right? But it's very limited as far as who attends. There's plenty of people that just don't go to the pool. So, but I think the pool is centralized enough where it's a good location. Having another kind of space that you could just gather in at that area is really good for the community as a whole. So,
And then I know some of these, we had a Gateway Run just recently, the Jingle Jog. That would be a location for them to be able to come back and hand out awards,
that would be cool
stuff
too.
like that, you know,
That's an
races.
interesting
And
point.
there's many different
Yeah,
ways you could use it.
right.
And
But
it just had to
we
be,
have a swim team, don't we?
yeah, that's Gateway High School. Yeah, they're using the pool. That was the first year.
Easily do awards and things.
I'd say there's just different things that you could work with it, and I don't think it has to be something like a monstrosity that,
No, I-
No,
I just think it's
That's why I
something
chose some
small. If you've
simple-
ever been to Gulf Coast Town Center, they have that little one there by the play. Yeah, see, that's what we're looking at, something small like that. That you could have music if you wanted music. I know I dealt with over in Cape Coral, there's a group that like to come and play their string instruments on a Friday night. And they started with 2 or 3 people playing string instruments, and they got together. And then they started, it was like 5 or 6 of them. And then people started coming around watching and bringing their chairs and listening. And then I had some of the gentlemen, they said, hey, is there any way you can get us like a food truck or something for drinks and some snacks? So then I did that. I brought that in.
yeah.
And then they just had their own little thing on Friday night. It didn't cost us anything. It didn't,
Provided
yeah.
those who are there take care of the cleanup and
Right.
everything else that goes with it.
Oh, yeah, that's.
And I think in order to get this off the ground, I think you need to have 2 comprehensive lists, the kinds of things that you want to have here and the kinds of things you don't want.
Right.
And if somebody got in touch with us and said,
That's a
you
good
know,
idea.
Yeah,
it's Johnny's 18th birthday and we want to have a little party.
yeah,
Just,
right, whatever
you
it
know,
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
you know, who's going to be responsible, and,
Right.
you know, and is there insurance coverage if
Right.
somebody gets hurt and all this kind of stuff.
Well, and that's a good point, because I'm the HOA president of my community, and we rent out our pool for birthday parties. I mean, can you have a birthday party without renting it? Well, yeah, you can, but there's a sign up, and there's a $75 cleanup fee, you know, and it's, people understand that if they want to use the pool for a big party like that, that they're going to have to pay for cleanup. And I think that your idea with getting those 2 lists together is very good.
That's
And,
great.
you know,
Yeah.
we don't have to decide tonight, but
Right,
you know,
right,
start
right.
thinking about the type
Exactly.
of things you would want to have and the kinds of things you wouldn't have. And that might get to your point about how much use we're going to have, because
Exactly.
then we can say, gee, these are the kinds of things people might want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Gulf Coast Town Center size one, that's perfect.
That's, you don't want
Yeah.
anything bigger than that. And
Right.
then, I know there's sometimes, and we have a lot of churches in the area, sometimes that they want to take turns and they want to have their Easter Sunday outside.
Right.
Okay, this is an opportunity with an amphitheater. And
It's just a-
those are
it's-
kinda neat,
It's
I
a
think.
community center, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to definitely break away from calling it a band
Yeah.
Shall.
shell.
That creates.
Right, that creates chaos,
The stereotype.
right?
Yeah.
So,
And that might get back to some of the concerns I heard, because
Right.
people suddenly hear that. and they
Band?
think, you know,
No.
What's going to go on?
right, right,
And
If
he,
I want to hear a band, I'll go hear a band. I don't want to, I don't want that in my neighborhood.
right.
you know,
But
Yeah,
it's like
one of the
community
things
center.
we have to do is be careful, because this committee, our ideas are what's important. We have to come up with our ideas,
Right.
and then we have to find a way to amplify that, put that into what's already being planned. Because there's a big building, if you look at the site, okay, there's a big building, L-shaped building that's going on that site with parking galore, right? And that goes by the pool, okay, which they wanted to tear out 5 years ago. Okay, that pool was gone. They had bulldozers out there ready to tear it out. And we had to fight for that, okay? We got the CDD people to agree that that was an amenity that we can't replace, economically. So we'll leave it there. But I would say 3/4 of the people in this community don't have a reason to have that pool. They belong to the country club. They have their own little pools. They have, in their little areas, each one has their own little pool that they lease out and do stuff for, the same things that we're doing at the big pool, the Commons pool. So we're all kind of in conflict with each other at times because we don't have a unified plan or we don't have unified ideas. And what you have to be careful of is you have people from all over giving you advice on what we should do, what we should be thinking, and all that stuff. And if you talk to the Pelican Preserve people, they've done this same survey, and they've got all that stuff. They don't want to even talk to any of us or even hear about spending money for anything. Basketball courts, paddleball court, pickleball courts, all that stuff. They have that stuff. So, that would be almost preventative if you listen to all that. And there's been times when I go, they don't want this. We had a big meeting where, people did the survey and it was like 50-50. But it's how you ask the questions. If you ask the questions one way, you're going to get, support. When you start to go, it's going to cost you $100 extra on your bill every year. People are going, we don't want that. We don't need that. I don't, walking trails. I've got sidewalks. There's 1 million, square, miles of sidewalks. They can use that. They don't need to make any more.
You also have to remember that on the surveys,
Go ahead.
No, on the surveys too, there's a certain demographic, like I'm a marketing guy, there's a certain demographic of people that are answering the surveys. And what tends to happen is people that are angry about something or don't want something are going to be the ones that answer the survey.
Right.
So not that they're not beneficial, but, are they truly accurate? How many people in the 7,000 units that are in Gateway answered the survey, this past survey?
She has it right in front of her.
Only about 1,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
is
So that's
that-
what
is
I'm
that
saying.
Really accurate?
We need to be careful of
Right.
that and realize that, it's
928.
not a unified,
920.
it's not a unified group of people.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I live right across from the country club and I listen to all the people in my little area.
Of course.
I don't belong to that. I'd rather be at the Commons pool. Okay.
But Dave, how many more people have you seen come to the Commons Pool lately?
How many more people do?
How many more people have you seen come to the
Oh,
Commons
we're
Pool
seeing
now?
a lot more.
A lot more.
Yeah.
And then when
Yeah.
when your pool is down, where do you go?
Yeah.
Right.
But we've been selling that,
It's been
there- if you come to the CDD meeting, you got people up here, only one person's ever been,
Right.
okay, Flavia,
Right,
okay?
right.
And so, she has a different perspective of what that pool means to the community. But what I'm trying to get to is, we really, each one of us would disagree or agree with, what they're going to put in now. It's already been decided.
Yeah.
They're going to put a Commons Park in here, guys. And whether 49% want it, 20% want it, whatever, it's going to
It's
happen.
going. yeah.
Okay, so it's our job to say, what else can we do that we
Right.
know about that would really be, something that the community would want if we did it the right way and could afford it, some money's never been the object on a lot of this stuff, it's been, whether the board will approve it or not. And if we can come up with reasons for this and a scale of this, we don't know what any of these are going to cost us.
Right.
We don't know, yet. It's up to us to put that list together,
Right.
to say, this is what we would like for you guys to think about, because we've heard a number of people at that one meeting, okay, not just on a little survey,
Exactly.
but we've done, you did a survey of your community for the fun park. We've all done little surveys of our own.
Yeah, when you door knock, those numbers are completely different.
Things
They are.
change. So, if we can do a list of things, just brainstorm ideas. And that's what, for next meeting, let's brainstorm ideas of how do we put something like this into the community? Who's going to use it and why it's important? And then what other things could happen? Because right now they're still talking about how are we going to keep everybody out of this park? We're gonna
Right.
make a park. We're gonna, and we talked at one time about putting a fence around the entire thing, which I think is ridiculous. That's not gonna keep people out. If I want to get into any place, I can get in there.
Of course.
Okay, when I was younger, I could climb the
Yes,
fence.
right.
Okay, now I gotta,
Have help.
I'll find the guy.
I
that-
have him do.
I'll find a guy who has a key card, but there are gates that are supposed to be set up to keep cars out of there.
I'm a member of the country club.
Yeah.
I have access to the pool, I mean, I have my own pool,
Yeah.
and I have access to the club's
Right.
pool there, the pickleball courts, all that good stuff.
Right.
It drives me insane when I see people who I know that are not club members using the facilities that I'm paying for.
Yeah.
Getting into the pool, getting onto the pickleball courts, getting onto the tennis courts, getting into the gym. And nobody enforces it.
Wave over the pool
How-
with their hand instead of using a keyboard.
Or just stand there with a drink, wait for the person to come out the gate and you go right back in. No one's gonna stop it.
How do you feel
You see
about
it all the time.
new pickleball facility? You're gonna pay for yours over across the street from where I live. And then we're gonna build new ones, I don't know how many now, over in the new Commons Park. And nobody's gonna charge me to use it because I'm paying
Taxes.
a yearly fee. Okay, so in a way, we're competing with what you're paying for. Are you gonna,
Pickleball's extra too.
Yeah,
It'll
yeah.
be-
Well, they're
Pickleball's
talking about
extra,
the- after talking about
swimming pool, I mean,
building-
all that's a
They
nice
wanna put more
facility.
Courts by us.
Huh?
They want to put more pickleball courts there because you can't get a time that you want.
Right, you can't get a
It's like
slot.
the
Well,
Dolphins who
but
can't
that's
get
coming
the-
at the Commons area, so there's no point in
Yeah.
building
time.
more.
So, in speaking
time.
of that, I think there's enough things at the commons area like pickleball. If we have a pickleball event, right, a tournament. Yeah, exactly. Then that is a reason to have food trucks and music and whatever else we decide to have. I think this is a place where we're going to have enough events, small to medium to large, that we can utilize this, what are we going to call it?
A community center, a gathering area.
Well, it's not a
something.
community center
No,
because
it's
I
not,
enclosed.
Right,
Yeah,
so
this
Community
stage,
pavilion?
it
Yeah.
could be, right, community
Yeah,
pavilion, something
That
like
could
that.
be it.
yeah. That we
You
can
need
utilize.
bathrooms, though. You guys are talking about food trucks and people.
Well, there's going to be bathrooms.
There's gonna be
Yeah,
bathroom.
Okay.
over there.
Community, what are we calling it? Pavilion?
Pavilion.
Community
Okay, and then it can be any size we want.
And it could be
It could be
anything.
whatever.
Exactly.
Just, about the survey, it's really interesting because I agree with you and I appreciate the data, right? But I wonder too, there's not to make this bigger than it is, right? We're on an advisory. Right. But I mean, it's 7 people that really are going to be the voice for the entire community. So I think we have the ability to look at that for what it is and be like, I'm not saying that you're wrong in any way, right? But to be like, is that really accurate? Do the 7 of us feel that it's right and that we don't do something like this? Or are there enough, the 7 of us in this room, or whoever is here, is there enough evidence to say that this would be beneficial for the community? Right? And I think that's a big thing of where we failed last year. We were like waiting around for the answers. Do people want this? We don't want to upset anyone, and then we would get bashed. Right, then we would get completely bashed in a meeting. It'd be like, whoa, blindsided, right? We just need to we need to reduce it down. We need to come up with these core components that we're going to target, that we know are going to be successful. Financially, I don't know. Do I feel, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the line, this is going to be a used item? Yes, I could prove that by, in other communities I've lived in, having a gathering center like this is effective and it is useful. Yeah. Right. So I don't think we have a lot to be worried about doing something like this.
I just want to make sure, for me personally, I want to be like a voice for people who can't be here or,
I think that's great.
Yeah.
But it sounds like based on the survey numbers, I know what you're gonna say, you can talk to people off the record or,
Based on the survey, we shouldn't do it.
that's the most if you have to convince a board, they're gonna say to you, that's the most scientific evidence we have,
Right.
but it
Not that
sounded,
one, though.
people don't want, it. Not enough people want it.
But here,
Well-
but the survey, when you look at the actual, because I'm a stats guy too, when you look at the actual stats, number one, it's a small percentage of people. Number two, you know, half of those people are signing a survey because they're upset about something. Doesn't necessarily need to be that, right? But it could be, it could be that. So that's 50% less. So now you're dealing with about 400 people, like 7,000 people that sign. To me, scientifically, that's not a good number at all. That,
No,
right?
no, but
0.7.
even based on those numbers, the need for something like this is down the list. So the board's gonna come back and say, there are people who weren't interested in filling out a survey, but those who didn't see this as something
Right,
important.
we can,
And that-
we can see this percentage-wise as 100% of the people that would engage in activities, because they engage in participating in the survey. We can say, you know, a million things.
Right, right.
To do what we think is best. I just want to make sure that I'm at least voicing my personal concern.
Oh, well,
I think the thing is to be, you know, you go back to your budget here, there's monument signs, we've got $350,000 for all the monument signs to be either changed or replaced or whatever, and they're coming up with a new logo,
Right, right.
okay, which is another $25,000 for design of that. And the people in the CDD are, you know, they've approved all this stuff. This is gonna happen, right? So
Right.
for us to put a number together and say, this is what, and a list of the reasons why we should do this, and the reasons why, you know, other things that could occur if we did it the right way. I think, you know, that's something that's sellable, you know, if you want to sell it. You're going to have to sell it but they're spending a lot of money on this park, you know, and nobody, with the exception of this little survey that went out, has agreed to that. And even one of the guys said, if it's 51% or less, I'm not voting for it.
Right.
But he's already,
But he already voted.
he already puts his thumbprint on each week, each time I go, and he's saying, yeah, we're doing this. And Chelsea's doing it. I mean, this is her baby, you know, so
That's a whole other.
That's a whole nother.
It is.
I know, but
Usable.
do what?
We have a lot of office space.
Well, that's a different, that's being built April
Let's
1.
not talk about that.
Shovel's going into the ground. It's too late for that.
That's one of the reasons why I joined this, though.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be part of the decision making. You can't complain about stuff
Exactly.
unless
Good for you. That's why
Yeah,
we're here.
That's why, that's why we're all here.
Yeah.
But there are things that, you know, if, you know,
There are things that
If
we're
we
also going to
want-
advocate for, right?
if we want, we have to sell. And
right.
what, we went into a meeting last, I mean, to get back to what happened. We got into a meeting, what was it, May? Okay, and it was, you know, all of us lined up in the front, along with the
They lined
CDD
us all
people,
up.
and we had no idea that was gonna happen.
They
But it
invited
was
us to it.
basically,
They're like, oh, this will be
yeah,
good.
the community came and took everybody's face off.
Yeah.
But with the exception of this pavilion.
That's right.
There was one guy though that
That's
was
right.
very excited about everything.
And the people who did show up were very supportive of
Yep.
this pavilion. That's where,
Yep.
that's what got us going,
Right.
right?
And that's where it
It's not,
started.
it's not
That's
like
right.
something, because, you know,
But then in the survey, we say banned,
And child.
and people are like, no. Right.
I
Well, of
picture the
course-
one in the cities where Myers said, that's huge.
Right, right.
No,
Yeah.
God, no.
Yeah.
So I
That's-
think.
Golf
you-
coast.
you
And
need,
when I explain it to the neighbors, to my neighbors, and, you know, because they saw Ben Shell too, and they're like,
we
Ed,
don't need a ban.
what are we gonna do? We're gonna have concerts at night?
Concert,
yeah.
That's
that-
exactly what they said. And
That's right in your backyard.
It
It's
is
right
in my
across the
backyard.
lake, see?
Yeah, it's right across the
Pond.
water. And I said, no.
Yeah.
It's gonna be small. We're gonna have the school symphony come sometimes.
You
and,
could,
know,
use it for wedding pictures.
That's
You could
exactly.
Use it
You do it for
like-
weddings.
And they're
Right.
like, oh, that's a
Exactly.
great idea.
It's,
You know, so
there's
when you-
so
when
many
you
things.
Decorate it and for weddings and,
And take away that word band shell.
Yeah,
Right.
you gotta suck.
But then how do you
Yeah.
even put that on a survey? And that's the other thing too. That's why, like, again, I hate to say it, we're failing at these, but we are with the communication, right? Because we put out a survey and say, do you approve ban shell? Yes or no? No, right?
Right.
And there are your answers. But do you approve of a
That's where it
community
is.
pavilion where you could do this and this and that?
Right.
And you could plan this and here are pictures and here.
Look at that.
Well, that will all change, right? If we
Yeah.
present it for what our actual ideas are, as opposed to a line item on a survey.
Instead of just a yes or no, you
And
need to
if we put
present it.
If we put it together and help everybody here to figure out, brainstorm and figure out a way to, those two have to settle.
Right. So that
Because
when it
we
comes
just-
down-
We just made them the
Well,
king of
but,
approach.
but those 3 or 4 things, whatever we're gonna do, if this is gonna be one of them, then we really need to hone in. This is gonna be part of the homework, right? Hone in on what we want. Let's do like
Right.
some real pictures and do a presentation of, these are the yeses and nos of what it's used for. These are the restrictions. This is what we've thought about as far as how we manage it, who manages it, everything. And we hand that packet, now say no. Right?
Well, yeah, if you have
Exactly.
the right backup and all the possible questions answered already, it'll be.
Easy peasy.
And I'm just using this as an example, but I think we need to do that with everything we decide to do this
I agree.
year,
I agree.
Does that make sense? Does that help? And hopefully it helps you guys, because we've been battling this for, quite
Oh,
some
yeah.
time now. And
Also for this year, I think, since you guys are together, we have a team back again. You need to set some goals, some standard goals for yourself for this year. And I'm not talking like 20, 30 goals. I'm talking, your top 3 goals that you would like to accomplish this year. And then stick to those goals. So you guys are gonna need
Not all over the place.
So until the next meeting, and if you have to have a meeting in between these, that can happen as well.
We could have a workshop. yeah.
And you can have a workshop and kind of have that discussion.
How would we go about doing that? We're not allowed to email each other, correct? We would have to go through like you and Georgia.
Mhm.
Well, we could say that we want to have a work, like we have, okay, let's get together and do a PowerPoint for this, right? We have a workshop on a certain thing, so we could come together and pull up the slides and make it work.
Right here,
Yep. we could
and
come in-
it's open to the public if they
Right.
want to come sit and listen.
this
And
is
it's a
the-
workshop.
This is usually the public.
Yeah,
This is
here's your
public.
public.
And this is the problem. We did have people come when we started talking about the dog park. And then we talked about the fun park, and the people that came were the 6 people that owned
Right.
property right by, adjacent to that. And the dog park was one of those, and then several people got upset and started saying, well, then we'll just sell the property then. And it got to be really bloody, and it was not a fun event
And
to
we were supposed,
participate in, and we're
supposed to have
back
these
to where,
meetings.
now we can get something accomplished.
and we were supposed to have, the reason why we're having night meetings is so these people could
Yeah, yeah.
attend.
Yeah.
We're going every other meeting, we're going in the evening, and every other in the daytime, so people
Hopefully
can
they
come
will
at night.
attend.
And I think once we get to start to do more,
Yeah.
we'll get more people to come.
Well, are these
And-
meetings advertised? How does the public know? I mean,
They're on the site, and that's the thing. It's hard to do a
Yeah.
mailer, right? But they're on the Gateway site. If you go to Gateway District, it's right there, actually. It's on the front
Yeah.
page.
Do we have somebody employed with the district that does like social media?
Yes.
like, blasts?
That's Randy, yes.
Maybe they could put something out there the week before, saying, hey, if you're interested in attending the meetings at 6 PM to accommodate more people this month, or hey.
So
is
park
there a date-
advisory,
Is there a database of email addresses that you can?
There is, there's a master email list, and we could, it's something that I could own is I could ask Ed or Flavia to,
A little something out on even like the Facebook page, but all of the demographic in Gateway, older, younger families,
Right.
they all are.
they have a master list, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we get the master list, and you're responsible for sending out a one-liner to everyone and get more
They won't
people,
give me the list.
get
but
more people here.
I could reverse that. I could send them what we're doing and ask them to send
Right.
this,
Yes,
right? They can
yes.
send it.
exactly.
That's the motion, whatever you just said.
I second that.
In third and fourth.
It's okay. There doesn't need to be a motion.
No, there's no motion.
It's fine. Yes, but we could do that. I think part of the issue is, also is we don't have a lot, we haven't been busy, right? We haven't had a lot to present to the community. I think something like this that would accurately, because I guarantee what'll happen is if we focus in on this community pavilion, right, and we advertise it, we put it out, we're gonna get people interested one way or the other, right? The majority, I have a feeling, again, people that show up, it's just the science behind it, people that show up are upset about it, right? But great, we'll get feedback and info from them as well. Why? Maybe we could set some of that aside, right? If we present to them what we're saying about this, about the weddings and about the gathering, you know, maybe it alleviates that. But maybe it offers some insight onto why we really shouldn't.
How can we, for the next meeting, how can we get that list started and generated, you know, of what this could be, you know?
Yeah.
Just a list of what this could be and.
But I think, okay, so let's go back to the agenda for the next meeting before we close.
Well, I've got one other thing I want to present to get these people caught up.
Right, so you're gonna update that list, present it to them, that'll be, as far as the things that were left off.
No, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
I want to talk about the fun part,
Oh, okay,
okay?
so let's separate that out. You're gonna handle that list, that's item number one, right? And then we're talking about recapping those specific items, fun part, we're gonna talk about to bring them up to speed, right?
I'm doing that today,
Okay.
okay?
And then,
Then I would, after that, then let's set up, our next meeting, what the agenda should be. I don't care in what order. Okay. Just to get this thing going so you can see what we've done in the past or where we were. Let's take a step back. What else can we do with this besides just naming it the community pavilion? You know, I mean, in terms of design, I'm an architect. My preference would be visually to find something that more like this first picture. I really like this, even though it may not be the scale of what we're talking about.
Right.
Maybe it could be reduced somehow, but we can come up, and again, when we put our package together, I can draw anything.
Mhm.
Okay, so I can draw something and say, this is what we're thinking of, blah, blah, blah. And we need a price for it. So somewhere along the way, we're going to have to get someone
right,
on, and I would say Gary's team, who puts prices together on, this or that, to come up with, whether it be Chelsea or whether it be Tetra Tech or whoever is going to end up doing the drawing, the real drawings. We need a place that we're going to put this, and we need what it might be scale wise. Okay. And I would rather go big than small at this point.
You want to do a drawing for next meeting?
No, I
No.
want to basically try to figure out a way to, I don't know, maybe that would be the only way to do it, is come up with a little drawing, sketch or something. But I would prefer to, keep it in that vernacular.
Sure.
I would too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be helpful.
We looked at this before, so
Right.
that's kind, we're not like,
Yeah.
me
But I
saying
think
something.
visualizing it in the space would be really helpful.
I'll take the site plan showing where all the pickleball courts are and the basketball and all that stuff, and find 2 or 3 locations, and then we can
So I
use
think
that, we can
drawing-
talk about that and decide which one is which.
So
So
for
the
on the
community-
agenda,
Pavilion drawing,
right,
Okay.
and then also, we'll do the list of what it is and what it is not. Okay,
So each one of us will do a little list to kind of get us brainstorming,
right.
and then we'll put it
We'll bring that
together.
in, we'll put it together,
At the next meeting, we'll put that together.
and then, we'll put it together at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then,
you bring your separate list and then we'll go.
Yeah, okay.
talks, also on the agenda for next meeting is talks about presenting it to the community. In whatever way we want to do that. Right. To
Yeah.
make it accurate, right?
Because it may take us, like next month, it may be February, and it may go into March,
But then,
before we take
we're
it
on
to
the
the
timeline.
CDD people.
Right.
Yeah,
But we
no.
gotta get it done by
Yeah.
September. Right? It's
No,
gotta
yeah,
all be
no,
solid.
I agree.
I gotta get it done before September.
Yeah, before
yeah.
September, right. So let's set a target. I don't know if we want to do that. That's ambitious, right? But maybe next meeting we set a drop dead date,
I think we do, that needs,
Yeah.
right?
the timeline needs to be
Pass
figured
those
out.
across there. Okay. What I did is I just, I went back into my files since I did this on a little thing called SketchUp and came up with it. We talked about this on June 9th. Okay, and it's kind of like everything else, it just kind of like, we talked about it, we put it away, we agreed on things, we didn't agree, but this is after about 13 different tries at it. And I'm talking to you and Ken more than these guys. But I put together a priority list of here's the plan. Okay, and if you drive in and you go back there, you'll see existing parking. Existing parking is going to continue to be there. And the thought was the basketball court is down at the other end. And so there's a little walkway going from the parking to the basketball court. And at one time, we were talking about Victory Gardens being places that can be rented out for people to go and plant whatever they want to plant. Okay, and I guess we were saying Victory is it's almost like in memory of, a loved one or somebody. So we threw that in as an idea. And this thing, what it did was it started with a track. Let's call it a track.
I like that.
This round kind of track with events happening inside the track. We've got people now that are, and I think she's still doing it, where she does yoga with yoga mats and stuff in the grass. And there's kids that, the idea came about by trying to get people in the community that surround this, people in the community with kids, for this to be kind of a feeder to the big commons area. Because I played college basketball, and I know when we put that big basketball court in at the commons area, if I'm in high school or I'm in college, I'm not letting your kids play. I'm gonna nail them to the floor. I'm gonna get in and I'm gonna throw elbows, and all the guys I used to play with always hurt the kids beneath them. And I didn't like that. I always thought that really bothered me because I can fight with anybody. But the idea was, if we had a place in here that the kids could come and learn how to play, learn how to play basketball, learn how to play pickleball, learn how to run and jump and throw balls and do all that stuff here. We teach our kids, but sometimes if you have somebody in the community that wants to teach a kid how to play baseball, my daughter was an all-state softball player, and I gave her to a guy that was a high school coach, because I can't teach her the things that he could. See, so if we had people that could come in here and work with kids along the pathway where you guys run and you jump and you do all that, and we would build little places along the way, which are little exercise stations. And that's also something that could happen for grown-ups over at the big commons area or along the linear path. But these are for kids to do, a chin up or whatever, how to jump higher, and then the idea was that if you could continue on back, we've got the children's playground is over there now. And we have to, keep the same shape, keep the surface underneath, but replace the things that are getting taken out now because they're breaking down. Okay. But we might replace, we're building a new playground over at the commons area, which is another issue. But the idea is that we could keep that at first and just, put in some new facilities there. The idea, then we got some space left in the back, which would be a butterfly garden or something that we could do at any point in time. But the idea was we came up with an idea of in the circle. If you look in the circle, that's kind of a maze, and we built a maze, and the idea was off of that to that south. I'm not sure which end I'm on now. I think the north end, okay, this end here, okay, back where the gray area is, here where 1, 2, and 3 is, there was an
Yeah.
idea for the people in the community, thought maybe we could put together a nature club for planting and stuff like that and have examples of Florida plants. And have a club for the ladies in the area, the men in the area that are really interested in gardening. And they would develop that area and try to figure out what we could grow. And so as you're walking around the circle, you're looking, half of it's, nature. You're looking at, plants and I don't know about you, but half the plants in my area, in my home, they die because I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. But,
You know what it reminds me of? Ringleads. You ever been up to
yeah,
Ringleads?
yeah,
You ever do the maze gardens at
Yeah.
Ringleads?
yeah.
It's like I kind of vision, like not as big, right? But I
Yeah.
kind of envision something like that.
But if we did this, we did this maze, that's an attraction that people would, bring their kids over, their
They do.
grandparents over, and they come over and they go, wow, look at this thing, this is weird, man. You get back in here, and there's places in there that you could play checkers with people, or you could play cards or whatever. You don't have to,
Yeah. little tables.
we haven't decided what their
Right.
things are gonna be.
This is really great.
But the idea then is we've got a priority list. I put together a quick priority list just so, we could get somebody putting some money together for this. So if whatever the circulation is, I need to know how much long that path is and what it's going to cost to build it. To start with, that's what I would do, is put the framework in. And then later on, we could put in, we've already got half the framework. We've got the parking.
Right.
We've got the basketball court. We've got a children's play area. And we could then start to, every year or so, build one of those little areas for exercise. Okay, and I think that stuff can be done cheaply.
Mhm.
Okay, you say $1,000 and, here's some material and,
Well, that was one of the primary things with this whole area is like it's already kind of there, right? So
Yeah,
we could
yeah.
continue to add on as we go.
Yeah.
Great.
so that's kind of to bring you guys both up to speed. That's kind of like there's 13 different steps, and if you read the steps, and there's no certain order to these things, but I said, please understand that all the activities or projects can be done over time as long as there is a framework plan to help us, decide what can be done next, and then we can prioritize what we want to do next. And then, it could be just people who come there go, hey, why don't we do this? And then we decide, yeah, that's a good idea. And so that's where we are. So I was hoping that we could move that along and get that into our budget.
Absolutely.
Get this
Yeah, for me, it's such like a
community
builder.
pavilion.
Right. The
We want that
pavilion,
into our budget.
Something like this,
This is good.
it's getting people out and together. I think it's
So
awesome.
your priority list is there,
Yes, for this project.
Okay.
For the priorities.
is
Did
playground
you
in
get
there?
one? You got one of these, right?
Keep and maintain existing.
Did she?
Yeah, it is number one. Keep
So,
and maintain.
Maintain is
There, I don't know what that
on
was.
the top of the list.
That's the drawing of what's there.
Right.
Okay,
now.
and I just overlaid the other things on top of this.
Right.
So there was no surprise.
Just making sure the playground.
Did you get,
It's
you
there.
got one of those, Carrie? Did one
Yeah.
come?
I
Send
think-
that over to her.
Send it over to
She
me.
needs one.
Oh, I have an extra one. You already did send it over.
Does she have
Yeah.
one? Oh,
You
okay,
just-
I'm sorry.
You just kept it,
I kept it. How long ago?
yes.
Awesome.
So is there, I guess one of the things is, who does your estimating? Who would estimate this?
Nathan, our project manager,
Okay. Can we get him starting to
Put costs.
look at possibly what this might cost, the different pieces would cost, and, just go through one at a time? Do we need to do anything to the parking? If so, how much do we have to resurface the parking?
And is that
Or,
already in the budget?
yeah, I don't know, see, I
Right.
don't know.
We need to know what's already in the budget.
Yeah.
To do what's there currently.
Okay.
And then figure out the actual cost of
Yeah.
Um,
And what, like one of the last things in here is build a wall along the basketball court, so I can throw balls against it. I
Yeah.
can throw passes against it. I
Dave,
can catch the pass and shoot.
Maybe what would help is if you, okay, each component, I know that you have numbers in there, but you have like numbers in the squares. Maybe if you list out each component, that way the PM could put costs next
That's
to,
it.
in the priority list, you mean?
Yeah,
Each component's there?
keep and maintain the existing children's playground.
No, I'm saying, right,
Okay,
so number one is maintenance for children's playground, number
Re-
two is
resurface the basketball court.
The three is parking lot, okay.
yeah, see, I would think, I would break each
Yeah,
one of
that's
those
good.
out and
Yep.
say, have a number for each one,
Yep, yep.
and then a total for what the whole thing was gonna
So are
cost.
they good with that, Carrie, do you think?
Yeah, I'll ask,
Okay.
I'll ask Nathan first.
Okay.
And, you know, and I could, you know, if he wants me to help him with that, I could do that.
And how do we decide on this? This would have to, sort of what signage is gonna cost.
So if you think it like.
Well,
I'll
what
put
we're
it-
proposing, we don't get anything.
We
Yeah.
recommend.
I mean, let's put our project management hats on. It's just like we're coming up with pie in the sky of what we want, right? So we're making it right now. Dave's gonna draw it up, we're gonna discuss it, we're gonna see size. I mean, okay,
I could draw
I-
something up and everybody here could go, that's too small,
but I would
that's too
love,
big. You know, can we scale it down to this? And then we can discuss, you know, how many people could sit. You know, if you don't make it big enough, you can only, you know, 10 people can sit there and look at it.
exactly.
Okay, or 10 people can get under it. But if you want 20 or 30 people to get under it, that's a different number.
Yeah.
Jazz band.
So,
But it's also about talking about the construction of it, like who's gonna build it. I would love community involvement there too. Like, if
Yeah.
we build something, I don't know how many, you know, talent, I'm sure there are talented construction people in the. Oh, yeah. But like, get people involved in more ways than just, here, we're gonna slap this thing here for you to use. Like, you build it, you own it, you're gonna use it. And I don't know. So I think there's a lot more that we could discuss with that portion.
it's a good idea.
I think that. is good.
You did.
And we're good for when, let's talk about when we're gonna schedule our next one. So we're saying February, it's gonna be during the day, right?
The next meeting.
Yeah, it's daytime.
On the 4th.
You have it on the 4th? Let's just make sure.
On Tuesdays before.
I don't have it in my book yet. Did we have it officially scheduled, Karen?
There was a slide.
Yes, February 4 at 1:30.
At 1:30
There was a slide that we
till the end of the year? Yeah, so do you have your emails yet?
yes.
You have your Prac email? Okay.
So are we setting our agenda now?
I have right now, what you've discussed is your agenda for February would be 1, the fun park. If I can get numbers, I don't know if I'll be able to get numbers by then. Might be able to shoot for the first 5 things at the fun park. I don't know, I guess this is a long list, I guess, for the fun park. What I'm concerned with is what are your top 5 things in the fun park? Is this the children's playground, the basketball court, the parking lot? Just keep that as is. The walking path and the play field and yoga area, is that your top?
Well, maybe we can bring our top 5s next time.
Yeah.
Each of us to decide, like in the
Okay.
master top 5 list. 'Cause this is the first time any of it, well,
Right.
I've seen this, and I love all of it, but I hesitate to commit to a 5 without thinking about it.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
All right,
She's-
so-
She's just
I
talking
think
about putting a
they're-
price together.
I think there are 3 natural ones that are already there that probably are going to remain.
Right.
The
Parking lot.
playground, the parking lot,
Yeah.
and the basketball court.
Well, the only thing with the playground again is there's parts that,
Yeah, and I
gonna-
understand that, and we need to find
Exactly
out
what we're
if,
talking about, is somebody screwed that together.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe.
shattered mirror.
Maybe we
So,
have to- we-
fun
you know,
park, bring
we
top
need to
5
have a
list.
playground.
Okay, bring your top 5 list for that. And then once you bring that, then we could kind of get a little better estimate.
Right.
We'll go further with an estimate of the cost.
Yep, okay.
So you could put it in the capital improvement plan.
And
Sounds
we'll
good.
already be in March then, so actual decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also keep in mind, like, we're not forced to have one a month, right? So there were, when I first joined, I think we were having 2 a month. to
We
get
had
going,
nothing to talk about.
Right, so we're not forced, we could have as many as we want. But I think that we should have February, keep that as it is, and then, you know, if we need to ramp up at that point, easily call, because I think you need 14-day window, right, Karen? Post-public. So we could do 1, 2 weeks out if we have to catch up.
Then you want to talk about community pavilion, right? Drawing, list of what it is and what it's not going to be. Okay,
We talk about how to present.
and then presenting community pavilion to the community.
Yep.
That's the 3 things I have for the next meeting, which is going to take time.
That's gonna, yeah, that's, it is, yeah.
That's gonna take more than just a month
Right.
to get it done right. I think you could get the person who does the estimating to at least start putting together a number for the track and the circle,
Walkway, what kind of
The
walkway
track
do you
and the
want?
circle. Huh?
What kind of walkway do you want? You don't want concrete, you want asphalt?
I think,
Asphalt is better.
And how wide?
I think I would do 6 feet.
Is that a tall order in a small space? It's not a small space, but
What, 6 feet?
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm
Yeah, 6
thinking
feet
about
is
people
good.
with 2 people running,
Yeah.
you're running against me. I'm 3 feet wide.
I'm looking, it's about
Yeah,
like
you're
this.
gonna, you don't wanna,
Yeah, 6 feet.
Yeah. About like that.
I'm small, so it's.
yeah, but but 2 people my size need 6 feet.
Yeah,
Or my mom was in a wheelchair, so she's,
yeah,
Right,
6 feet.
Right. needs to
Okay.
be-
5 feet would work as a
Well-
handicap walkway, but
Yeah,
6 feet, you know.
right.
Okay,
And again, I'm gonna use it for my kids to dribble basketballs, and they're gonna race around that track with a basketball.
And there will be kids on scooters.
Exactly,
and
exactly,
Learning to ride bikes for training.
exactly. You're a good mom.
Thank you.
We're good.
Okay.
What
We
else?
should have bike riders using that, but are we going to stipulate anything about people on bikes with runners and walkers at the same time?
well, they're supposed to,
Get along on the path now. Don't like the paths now. Usually bikers that are on the path are really courteous and they let you know they're
Yeah.
coming up.
they're usually pretty good about it.
Kids aren't though.
Surprisingly, I can't believe it because my kids are shy. I get a lot of like smiling waves from like middle schoolers. kids
Oh,
on
that's
bikes.
great.
Really?
Yeah, so
That's
kids
great.
are surprisingly polite.
Well,
You gotta send
my
her
little
the
girlfriend was
scholarship.
sitting out here talking about walking her dog, and the 3 kids that run her off the golf course every chance they can. She would be, you guys don't know what you're. Okay, the other thing we had on there was new financial summary review. Did you put that on our list of things to do
For next time.
for next agenda? Yeah,
New financial,
new financial summary review.
what is that entail?
The list that Dave is gonna clean up,
Oh,
under the ones that were dropped off.
I should-
Dropped off
I should be
lists.
I should be the chair first.
There you go, okay.
I'm doing all this.
Operational items.
I'm done.
Okay.
I
We're
don't
all
have
done,
one
Dave.
for the rest of it.
Okay.
All right.
Be nice.
With that being said, any other discussion topics?
None from me.
7:24, we can adjourn this meeting. I guess second.
Oh,
Second.
I got one more thing. Somebody,
Of course.
Carrie, you need to, the other person that has been voted into this group of
Yeah.
people,
Yes.
we need to call her and make sure she doesn't start missing. She might not have even known about it today.
might be in St. Louis, for all we know.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but we need to remind, there's,
Right.
we don't want anybody to
Communication,
get
no,
kicked
should they
out
call,
of this
should they email?
right off
Yeah.
off the bat.
With the resignation, is there any thought to adding another person, or are we happy with the numbers that we have right now?
Oh, yeah,
We need 7.
we could.
You
You,
don't need
huh?
some, it's
Well,
up to
you
you.
could max at 7,
So
right?
this-
Max is
so there's
7.
technically still one vacancy there with the resignation.
So, right, there's one
There's
opening,
5 of us here, the woman
Right.
didn't come.
right, because.
Yeah. we could replace,
That's a decision you guys, you need to make.
Yes, correct.
So there's
I think
one-
just start
There's one
looking
opening.
for people that you think might be a good fit, that
Well,
really,
okay,
that
so
really
Karen,
wants to
can-
do
Can
something.
you put out that there is an opening? There is one opening, you're right. So that is now.
I don't think we need to do that yet. I think we can,
We
can,
want-
we should look for people.
Hmm,
Well, I agree with you too. I agree with both.
Right.
I think they both need to be done. We need to look for people and we
Right.
need to put something out
We
there.
do need, I think you need to make it public. You need
I
to say there is an
agree.
opening.
That's how I found out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, you
Yeah.
do have to.
I
put it
agree
in
with you,
public.
Dave. We could definitely ask,
Yeah.
if you have a neighbor,
Yeah.
if you- yeah. but-
Oh, I don't have anybody I'm
Right,
thinking of. I'm just saying,
But, yeah,
Yeah.
we need to also.
we
post
can,
that
but
there's
we
a
can
vacancy.
judge people before all that in terms of finding out, finding people that really would like them.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, you guys have both made it clear why you want to be on the team. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about everybody that we have so far.
Me too.
Because if we don't have good people, well, it makes our life really, it makes it really difficult to even have a discussion.
Did you guys know Carlo was still resign? I thought he was like up for being chair again. When I was reviewing the agenda, his name was not there.
I have no idea. I guess they found out today.
Somebody's,
Things happen, you know?
All right, that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second it.
All in favor?
I
We're done. Awesome. Thank you, folks.
thanks, guys.